State for the win. They hand it off to Johnson. Boise State has won the tournament.
They take a downfield shot. And the catch is made. It's Ryan Williams. Still spinning free. Touchdown. For the touchdown, the first possession, back in the game. And he's loose again. Edwards off and running. Welcome back, Donovan Edwards.
He's going to the corner. He's got it.
This is the Gridiron Uncensored.
Welcome back, everybody. Another edition of the Gridiron Uncensored podcast. We are rolling through with our season previews. Again, we're in the group of 5 right now. We're going to talk about as many of the group of 5 programs that we think can actually contend for the playoffs and their conference championships. We've talked, Navy already. We've talked Boise State. We got a list of about 14, that we think can really be in it. So next up, we're going to hit them up right now. We're talking UNLV. This one's a strange one. All right. You got to, if you're a UNLV fan, you're like, hell yeah. But if you're an outside team, you're like, UNLV, their whole team's new. This is like a brand new. How are they going to do it? Well, let's talk about it. Let's get into what's going on with this UNLV team. Trev, new coach comes in. Dan Mullen.
Whole new team comes in.
Whole new team comes in. What are you feeling on them initially? What are you seeing on the coaching staff wise with Dan Mullen? And then they had the staff turnover already, so it's like so much.
I mean, the most notable change, obviously Dan Mullen coming in, but I mean their defensive coordinator resigned due to personal reasons. Defensive coordinator, linebackers coach Zach Arnett, due to personal reasons. So Paul Gunther, I'm assuming, is the associate head coach, and he's been appointed interim defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Additionally, let's see here. They've retained the wide receivers coach. Looks like they've retained most of the other the position coaches for the most part. Let's see. Yeah. That's really it. Dan Mullen coming in, bringing in his guys. Paul Gunther stepping in as a defensive coordinator on top of his duties as a associate head coach.
And Gunther, he's been around for a long time. He's an NFL type guy too. So, I mean, it's not like they're just pulling somebody, out of the woodworks like, hey, God, please help us, Like this guy, he's been around. So there's some continuity there.
And Dan Mullen knows how to put together a staff. He's been around long enough where he can put together a staff fairly quickly.
Exactly. And that's where most of the hype is coming from, is because Dan Mullen is coming in. All right, he's taking over a group of 5 program. He's been around the league. He did great things at Mississippi State, whatever. But now look where he's at. Let's see what he can do with UNLV. And we talk about new coaching staff, and now you look at what comes with that, and it's usually changeover of the players. And I mentioned it in last episode, things that I look for in a contender team, and that's my 4 things. You've got to have continuity of like staff or players. Returning production is the next one. Good returning production. And then you've got to have a veteran quarterback, and then the schedule has to set up. If you have all 4, you're probably in really freaking good shape. You got a couple of the 4, all right, we can talk about it. So how does UNLV sit into this? Well, they brought in a veteran quarterback, in Calandra, coming in from Virginia. That's somebody, I guarantee he's going to be the starter. I know there's an orgy going on in Vegas right now, but
we all love an orgy.
Look at what Trevor's wearing. Do you see that? That listen, we're both Michigan fans. For anybody that's maybe new to the show, we've seen Alex play, and I appreciate what he did for for
and Michigan. What he can do. I think if he had the right amount of coaching and stuff, I just don't know if it's there, honestly.
Yeah, when it comes down to passing, he had moments where, like spring games, all this stuff, you're like, okay, maybe
he has a killer arm. He is strong. The guy he can launch it. He can launch it.
it's just not accurate. So I don't think that he's going there to do. I know he probably transferred there to try and contend for a starting spot. I just don't see it with Calandria being the guy coming in. And,
I think he should be a tight end. I think they should just put him at tight end and let him run over people.
Yeah, I mean, dude, if even just packages that just let him run the Wildcat like Michigan. Michigan had to do that for a while there. After Davis Warren got injured, even in the Bama game. But either way, he brings in veteran quarterback in Calandria. He brings in Alex Horty to help maybe push him, but also maybe run some certain packages. So there's things going on offense, and we'll talk about that more, here in a minute. But at it, I mentioned the four things that I run off of. Returning productions in the 30s, so that's check that one off. That one's not there. Team talent wise, continuity. There's a little bit on the depth side, but looking at 24 or 247 Sports, they had UNLV rated as the 85th team when it comes to talent. And again, that's not updated yet. UNLV 24/7 doesn't have that updated until like August. But it's something I thought it's interesting. And then their portal class was 69th. And they brought in 37 players, and they lost. I got to scroll all the way down, 39. So, Trev, offensively, defensively, they got a lot to change. They got a lot
They do. But I will say that in their transfer portal class, I am – with the new coach and being able to pull some of these guys look really, really potentially like difference makers. They got a couple guys from Mississippi State to come. That's not really that big of a shock.
Yeah.
Maybe. Not that big of a shock. They got a decent running back in Kayvon Lee. He's a decent 6 foot 225, so he's a pretty big body guy. They've got a couple linebackers, offensive tackles, massive offensive tackle coming from Kentucky in Ben Chrisman at 6'6", 325.
Yeah, that's a big dude.
He ain't small.
That's a body.
He ain't small. But like there's another kid coming from UNC, Malik McGowan, 6'5", 325 as well. So I don't know which one of these guys are going to actually get the nod for building the offensive line, but if I was a betting man, and they do have a couple kids from Arizona State and Troy Omeire,
yeah,
6'4", 220, wide receiver position, could potentially move to the tight end position at that size. I'm telling you, man, I kind of like what they're bringing in. They're just bringing in a bunch of guys that potentially could play. I mean, the kid out of Western Kentucky, he's kind of rated kind of high, actually. Coy Moore, 6'1", 198. I'm really so UNLV is a very interesting animal to me because I'm looking at some of this transfer portal. I'm really curious on what they do with these young guys and which ones – Brendan, are going to retransfer after the final depth chart's set.
Yeah, and
because that's a thing. Unfortunately, guys, that's a thing. Until they put rules in place for this transfer portal crap, that's going to be the way of the world. You're going to lose some guys. Be like, oh, I should be starting, and when nana boo boo, and go fuck yourselves. Like just suck it up and play for a team.
Well, I mean, look at last year, even with Sluka at quarterback.
Yeah,
he played a couple of games, and then he was like, "All right, I'm done. I want more money, whatever." And now he's over at JMU. It's an interesting thing, but
I want to lay like I mean he's more of freaking. He's more recent as far as like wanting more money and then taking less money to go to a program where you're going to disappear. Like he is not going to make you a UCLA anything. Sorry, I'm jumping way off topic.
Hey,
but
it's it all folds into the same thing with the portal and
we're
talking about UNLV in this one, and they've experienced that, especially this year. You almost lose 40 players, a lot of depth. You got starters leaving. It's a tough era, but what you got to see as for a coaching staff. Can they go out and try to replenish what you lost? Can you go out and find better fits, people that, hey, you buy into the system? Let's see how much you really buy in. Will you be here, next season? And that's what you're alluding to. And a lot of these guys have transferred multiple times already. They haven't, found their spot. But, if they can click, if they can hit here, why not? Like you said, they brought in big body wide receivers. They brought in, big body offensive linemen. A running back that I was reading about, on their end, Jalen Glover was recruited, back in I guess by Dan Mullen, from what I was reading. So he played over at Utah, and they're expecting some nice things from him. And really, for me, when you look at this team, because I know I'm pretty sure Calandra is going to be the guy, unless Orgy just had a crazy spring and he really dialed in his accuracy. I don't see it, but who knows? Let us know again, guys. If
you know something and you got the ear to the ground out there in Las Vegas, let us know.
Yeah, for real.
We'd love to hear some inside information for sure.
Because obviously we're outside looking in. We're on the national scale. Like when we look at teams, we're not just focused on one conference or one team. We go, we're national, on who we cover.
We talk about everybody.
So if we miss something, let us know. But yeah, I'm looking at it. Wide receivers still is like, which one is going to step up? And a lot of these are transfer guys. Who is going to step up? JoJo Earl, maybe. He could be the guy. You mentioned him earlier. Omier. I don't want to butcher his name. If I did, the guy coming in from ASU, 6'4". That's a big body. That's somebody for Calandra to toss it up to.
Yeah, I mean they got used to talk about running backs. So Megwa coming over from Oklahoma.
Yeah, there's talent on this team.
They've got talent. It's just a matter of if they can match it. Because as it stands right now, folks, teams that do this, generally speaking, have been proven not to succeed.
Yeah,
there hasn't been one team in the Power Four. We're talking Florida State. They failed miserably, continually to fail.
Yeah.
They continue to fail at the transfer portal and making a competitive team on the field. Colorado, they've actually started to go away from rebuilding their team out of the transfer portal, and they're actually starting to actually bring kids in at the freshman level, which is good. That's a great thing.
Yeah, it's a sign. It's like, I think the closest thing would be in Indiana. But even then, there was continuity there because
like half the team was coming from the same team that he left. So
I think you can have something be close to a 1-year fix, but it
has to be a one mindset. It has to be a one mindset.
Yeah,
the whole team, all these transfer guys have to come in with the same mindset. We just want to win.
Yeah,
and whoever's the best player, okay, we're gonna freaking lift them up. Like, it's a team thing. Like, I don't know. Kids nowadays, I feel like, don't understand the real meaning of being in a team. Whether you're the first string or the fourth string, it's still a team thing. You guys people got to lift each other up.
Yeah, the culture's got to be strong. I think Dan Mullen can do that, and that's why we're talking about them here. Is look at how much talent they brought in. Can they get these guys squared away? That's why we're talking about them tonight. This is a team that has potential to be in that spot. Could they flounder completely? Yes, but I feel like Dan Mullen's going to have this team ready to go. So offensively, even wide receiver wise, Tavian McNair is somebody, a younger guy, freshman, redshirt. That's someone that they've mentioned as somebody they're excited to see step in. So we'll see offensively. Defensive side of the ball, this one, to me, is the biggest toss-up when it comes down to it. They lost so many people.
I'll be paying attention to UNLV this year.
Yeah, it's an interesting team. I'm really excited to see what Dan Mullen does. But really, it's just there's so much in the portal. Guys that you're bringing in, safeties from Georgia. You're bringing in cornerbacks from USF. Linebackers from Mississippi State. You got guys from all over the place. But then you're also trying to get guys that, hey, you got them to buy in, you got them to stay, and that's we're just going to see what happens. Korea was the guy that I mentioned. You got him to stay. He was somebody who's considering leaving in the portal, defensive side of the ball, and you've got him to buy in and stay when others left. So that's somebody you can build around. Hey, I've been here. I know what UNLV is. Let's start this new culture. So that's something I want to see from this team. Trev, anything you want to go talk schedule?
Yeah, I think let's go over what UNLV did last year, and then we'll roll into what we're looking like in 2025.
Yeah, thanks. I forgot about that. 2024, so the 11-3 season, great year coming out, in 2024, but it did not end the way they wanted it to. Obviously, with a second loss to Boise State, especially after how close that first one was. I mean, that was a hell of a game. But you start off, you lose to Syracuse in overtime, and that Syracuse team's tough. So you're looking at UNLV, you're like, hey, this team's all right. They just played Syracuse really tight. They're beating everybody else pretty decently. Now you go play Boise State, tough loss. This is a team that was still in it late in the conversation for the playoff run in 2024, and then they lost to Boise again. But they did go out and finish off with a nice bowl win against California.
Go
ahead.
No, I was just saying, I was like really impressed with after they lost to Boise, that close game. They turned right around and had another close game with Hawaii, which is not an easy place to play. I know it's Hawaii, but that stadium is not an easy place to play, especially if it's packed. And they came out with the win there. Then they went back to back to back. They finished the season with 4 straight wins, which in my opinion is impressive. And then unfortunately, they did not show up in the championship game. Otherwise, we'd be talking about UNLV in the playoff probably.
Yeah. I mean, there's a very real chance that was going to happen. So UNLV, you've got that momentum from 2024, to a point that's still hanging over there. But now you've got the new coaching staff, new team. Let's look at this 2025 schedule, Trev, and see what they got going on. And you mentioned him earlier, Nico. The whole saga with him. Well, UNLV, you're going to have a chance to do the funniest shit ever, in the second week when you play UCLA. Do not overlook week 1 against Sam Houston. That's a team that really turned it around last year, and they've got a solid squad again this season. And then you move on, Idaho State. That's a win, and then Miami, Ohio. That's a tough team in the MAC. They're usually always pretty solid squad. So that's something you need to watch out for. Looking at the whole schedule, Trev, that middle part is tough.
I was just looking at that.
You want to hit those. Yeah, middle's tough, but it gets more manageable.
Honestly, I think that they can probably replicate what they did last season, if not do a little bit better. Like you said, though, that first 4-game stretch is actually very important. Idaho State, obviously, I'm not really referring to them, but I am referring to Sam Houston, UCLA, and Miami of Ohio, which is not an easy game when they have to go to Ohio. Yeah. So when we're talking about, anytime I'm looking at a schedule, guys, and this is just for me personally, when I'm looking at a team like a Group of 5 team, like UNLV, for example, who's a West Coast team, when they have to, at the very beginning of the season, travel as much as they are, 1 to Texas, and then 2 weeks later, they're traveling all the way over to Ohio, and then they're off a week, which is great, but then, then they stay out in the West Coast for a couple weeks, which they need to take advantage of that middle stretch for sure. But if they can go 4-0 at the beginning of this season, there is a significant possibility that they only lose 1 game maybe this year. And they may be an 11-1 team as well. And the one loss being, and it's Brendan, I'm probably gonna say this, is that I think it's gonna be a rematch from last year. I think them and Boise State are gonna be battling it out.
Yeah. I mean, it very well could. And like I said, there's a lot of hype on this team because you look at the schedule and how it does lay out. UCLA last year, another, rough moments for them. This year, they're bringing in a lot of transfer portal guys too. They're trying to really rebrand and, get that culture going. But then they go in and now you got Nico coming in with this cloud hanging over his head, like all the shit that just went down. So UNLV, if you have a chance to take advantage of that situation, but it just depends again how well that team meshes. So you could have say 1, 2, maybe a 3-loss season, worst case scenario. But when I look at this, I agree with you, Trevor. I think they have very real probability to beat UCLA, and then you go and play Boise, and we mentioned them as a team that should be in the contention as well. So UNLV, I didn't see a again though. Over under. I do have it for UNLV. The one of the only 4 group of 5 teams that I found. 7.5 is what I saw was their initial over under.
Really?
And I think they're leaning in on that. It's such a new team,
and the historical data that is when these teams do this massive influx of team players, they generally don't do well. It's the Florida State effect.
Oh man, it kind of is. It's just one of those things. So they say 7.5 is what I saw. I'm sure that'll get updated after spring. But what I'm seeing, I'm probably going to go over. You can't stumble in the middle. Wyoming, Air Force, those are tough games. Miami, I can see why it's at the 7.5, especially with the team. The newness here.
Right.
But I think this team has potential to push into that 10-11 win category if the team gels. So we'll see when it comes down to it. Let us know again what you guys think. How are you feeling? What's the mood out there? Because outside, I'm seeing a lot of hype for this team. So I feel like you got to talk about it.
Now this So this is our 3rd team so far in our season previews for the group of 5. We're at the halfway point. We're going to do a couple more teams. So now is the best time for you to pop in there and tell us who you think the best team in the group of 5 is. Throw it on YouTube, throw it on Facebook, throw it on Twitter, even on Instagram. You can find us on Instagram as well. Brendan or Blake or I will monitor that stuff fairly regularly. So we'll try. We do our best to reach back out to you if you do put a comment down.
Yeah, absolutely. And we appreciate you guys watching. And, we hope to see you around for the regular season too. Once we're done with all these previews, we got a lot left, baby.
We got a lot to go. We're just getting started. That's right.
No, we appreciate you guys. We'll see you around. Take care.
All right. Take care.